So how many of you either find the current times, how many find the current times kind of challenging? Okay, how many people currently find it difficult to relate to time? How many have to look at their smartphone to see what day of the week it is? How many have to have an agenda to remember what you're going to do today? Okay. All right. And I'm sure that many of you have had your aches and pains and your disasters and your economic problems and your personal problems and your social problems, right? Yes. So let's go to a higher level of things. Let's go to politics. So, I was reading a spiritual writing that I really respect, and they said if you want to see the chaos in the world today, look at American politics. So what's going on? It seems like we are in a state of chaos, and things are you might say they're worse than they were in earlier times, except for World War I and World War II and the Korean War and the Vietnam War and a few other things. But we seem to be in a challenging time. People are having their challenges. And what's going on? So I'll tell you what's going on. I'll tell you from a personal point of view first. What is happening to this planet is that it is evolving. We are actually in the process of evolving from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. We are actually evolving from being just human beings to being the spiritual, truly spiritual beings that we are. We were spiritual beings before we came in, and we incarnated into physical bodies. And then when we leave the body dies. But we are having a human experience in a spiritual body, not just the opposite. And so what is happening is that as part of evolution, everything grows and rises and expands and becomes more. And this is what is happening to us. We are expanding and growing and moving and becoming more. I don't know how many of you sense it, but we are currently being bombarded by divine light and love from other galaxies and from other levels, from the angels and the archangels and the ascended masters and other beings. And so this divine light is coming into our being. Now, it can affect you in one of two different ways, and it will affect you in one of two different ways. One of the ways that it will affect you is one that I'll share from my personal experience. And the reason I can hardly talk when I talk about it is because what is happening on the bright side is that the presence of God is filling this planet. And the presence is getting stronger and more stronger. So that if I go to someone and just begin to feel their presence, I can feel their God presence. No matter who it is, I feel the God presence. Well, you can tell that I'm quite overwhelmed when I feel the God presence. And that's because my vibrations are too low. Too low for fifth dimension and higher love. And when we feel the presence of God in another person, that is a higher dimensional vibration. We vibrate on the third dimension. But in the higher realms, they vibrate at fifth, seventh, and higher dimensions. You know what? Our scientists tell us that there are at least 11 universes. Did you know that? Yeah, I wrote one of my two little line poems says, science says that there are at least 11 universes. I wonder where all those people went who left in those hearses. With 11 different places to go, where did they go? And we do go different places depending on our consciousness. You know, it's interesting, even on this planet, if you look at it, you will find places that have lower consciousness and places that have higher consciousness. And you have to ask yourself, well, what's that all about? And when we come in to learn and to experience and to grow and to expand and to express and create God on this planet. We are considered a blessing of the universe because we are gifted with such unique creativities that the divine is able to express itself in and through us in our wonderful creations. So how did we get this way? We have been going through evolution for a long period of time. I think probably one way to simplify this would be to look at what Dr. David Hawkins did. He developed an arbitrary map of consciousness from 1 to 1,000. The scale is arbitrary. And below the 200 level is negative. Above the 200 level is positive. 400 is love. 500 is love. 540 is unconditional love, and then it goes up higher. Well, when Jesus was on this planet, the consciousness level was 90. In 1987, the consciousness level was 190. That's negative. But then in August of that year, there was something called the harmonic convergence, and something happened, and the consciousness jumped to over 200. So the consciousness was on the positive side. Now, when the consciousness rose to 200, we saw Enron and a whole bunch of other exposures of the illegitimate things that were going on. And right now, what we're seeing is a lot of exposure of the negative that's going on. And so more and more we get to see the negative side. And we say to ourselves, well, it looks like we're going to that proverbial hell in the basket, right? Well, we're not. No, it's actually what's happening is, yes, the scene is changing, and yes, we are having our challenges, but yes, also that something wonderful is coming. Many wonderful things are coming. And you can read the internets and you'll get some idea about it. But to me, the most wonderful thing that is coming is that we are moving to the point in our consciousness where we are going to leave behind our hate and our anger and our prejudices and our violence and our rapes and our murders and all the negative things. And we are going to awaken to the realization that there is only one. And that one is present in everything and everyone. One of my expressions says there's only one family on planet Earth and every person has equal worth. Well, we don't treat each other like that. And the planet doesn't treat each other like that. However, we are in the process of awakening to this spiritual realization within ourselves. And as we awaken, we realize that we can no longer do the old ways. I'll give you a prime example. Science of Mind teaches that your thoughts are the prelude to your reality. Our reality is what we see and experience. Now, I would elaborate a little bit on Ernest Holmes' statement from his book, Creative Mind and Success. And that was the one that turned my life around dramatically. I would elaborate on that it is not only your thoughts that create your reality, it is your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs, and it is the thing that you think in the silence of your own mind that you think goes nowhere, that goes into the law of cause and effect and returns like. Now, I used to think thinking in my own mind was my private world. It doesn't work that way. In the Old Testament, it talks about every hair in your head is counted. That's just saying the same thing. So every thought, feeling, emotion, and belief that we have goes into the law and to some degree comes back in some form. So as we're going through this evolutionary stage, our shadow side, our dark side comes up for the clearing. That's not fun, is it? How many of you think you might be going through your shadow side right now? Yes, we all have a shadow side. But we're also here to make changes in this planet. This is the time when each of us has to take responsibility for ourselves and make significant changes. If the collective unconsciousness is negative or close to negative, what's going to change it? Well, the collective unconsciousness is really what Carl Jung would call the collective unconsciousness, and what Ernest Holmes, our founder, would call race mind. And this is the sum total of the thoughts and feelings and beliefs of the planet. However, it turns out that every individual has an impact on this pool, and this pool acts like an subconscious, unconscious, subtle field of influence on the world. So if one person can change to get to the level of unconditional love, 540. According to Dr. David Hawkins, our 2005 spiritual hero of the year, one person can offset the negativity of 2.7 million people. Do you matter? Do you make a difference? Yes, yes. And so, as we go through the transitional phase, we have to change the way things have been. For years, we've let politics just be, and we haven't gotten involved in politics and different things. And we see the state that politics is in today. I was listening to a program, a news program, and I think it was PBS or BBC, and they said 85% of Americans don't trust either presidential candidate today. What has happened to our nation? What's happened to our nation is the shadow side is coming up. And I'm not taking any political stands on this, but what I'm looking at is that our shadow side comes up for our clearing, but our political world is a reflection of our shadow side and of what we haven't resolved in ourselves. And so as we now take on that individual responsibility and we begin to change ourselves, we have some clear mandates to follow. Number one, all the hate and the judgment and the fear and the negativity and the comparisons and the downgrading and the insults and the hollering at children and the hollering at each other got to go out the window. If you're talking to another person, you're talking to God. It's that simple. It is God expressing in and through that individual, and God expressing in and through each one of us. Well, the expression of God is totally overwhelming. When we experience that oneness of the love of the loving source, we just sit there and cry. We just sit there and cry. The first time I experienced, I couldn't stop sobbing for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. And different people experience it in different ways. But the most exciting thing about the coming days for me is that it's wonderful. We will see the changes on the planet. Poverty will be eliminated, and sickness will be eliminated, and borders will essentially be eliminated, and everybody will be fed and sheltered, and the world will get back to the way it belongs, and it'll be wonderful and beautiful. But to me, the most amazing thing and the most important thing is that we will have a planet where everyone will feel the presence. Can you begin to imagine what that means? If I feel the presence in you, am I going to hurt you? Am I going to put you down? Am I going to criticize you? Am I going to judge you? No. I'm going to treat you with reverence. You see, what the world needs now is reverence. Reverence is a key word to me, because reverence really says, I see the God in you and I respect you as that representation. We are all individual expressions of the infinite. We're all like cells in the body of God. We're all one with it. We're never separate from it. My first 40 years, I couldn't feel anything. And then when I started to feel it, I would feel it in my heart, and I would sneak up on it. Is it there? Is it there? Is it there? And it was always there. And it's always there. It's always there. The biggest saddest thing that we do is to criticize and judge and put ourselves down. If we would even begin to treat ourselves the way that that loving source loves us, we would throw all the criticism out the window. And I said it before once here, but I'll say it again, that when you criticize yourself, you are criticizing the divine. You're criticizing God, and you have to seriously look at whether or not you want to do that. And when I came to that conclusion, I said, no, I don't want to do it. And then, of course, 20 minutes later, I'm doing it again, right? Then you judge yourself for doing it again, right? Yeah, and so you get around that vicious circle. So the change of the world is up to us. Nobody's going to tell you when it's going to change, because they can't. It isn't a matter of time, it's a matter of consciousness. When this planet shifts 51% of its consciousness to the level that can move in from the third to the fifth dimension, you will see the most amazing thing that you cannot even begin to imagine. You cannot even begin to imagine the fifth dimension, the beauty, the peace, the oneness, absolutely talk about perfection. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But it is up to us to change the collective unconsciousness. Did you get that? It is up to us to change the collective unconsciousness. And we change the collective unconsciousness by treating ourselves the way the loving source would if it were living in our body, or if it were standing in front of us, or if it was in our heart just loving us. So this is the time of planetary change. And this is a time when we play an important role in that change. And it is important for us to change the old ways and to take on new ways, and to be born again into a new spiritual being. Yes, their end times are coming, the end of the negativity and the end of all the violence and the end of all the horrible things that we have had. But it's being replaced by something far better. So my challenge to you is, if you were to treat yourself with reverence every second of your life, would you criticize yourself? Would you feel like you were less than? Would you judge yourself because you made a mistake? Would you get angry at yourself because you didn't do something the way you should have, or you didn't do it perfect? No. See, the loving source never judges us, it just loves us. And so we do what we do because we are learning and growing and expanding, and we are expressing the divine in the physical creation here and in other creative ways. So our essence is spiritual, and our focus needs to go back to our being spiritual. We're spiritual beings having a human expression, and we need to treat the human part of ourselves like it's sacred, because it is. It is. So your homework assignment for the week, the month, the year, and the rest of your existence on this planet in the third dimension is to start loving yourself the way you are, to work on getting rid of your prejudices, your comparisons, your negativities, your judgments, your unresolved shadow side, just a few things. And it's a job. However, I want to give you a big tip. Don't try to do it by yourself, because you can't. It's very difficult. Call on the angels, the archangels, the ascended masters, the higher beings, Father, Mother, God, the Galactic Federation, because the Galactic Federation exists in the fifth dimension. You don't see it here because to us the fifth dimension is invisible, and the seventh and the other ones. But when your vibrations rise to that level, then you can see it. For instance, how many of you have ever seen a wall vibrating? Nobody? One. Okay. Two. Yes. I had a spiritual experience, got out of my car, and saw a stone wall vibrating. Stone wall vibrating. Well, that's what science says. And now science says that matter isn't really real, that everything's energy. And since we are energy, and we are movers of energies, our thoughts move the energy to create accordingly. So realize that you are a creator with your thought and your feelings. And as you go through the rest of your life, just focus on cleaning it up and being the clearest, purest expression of spirit that you can be. And I have a special thing that I do every day that I want to share with you in closing, which is a prayer. And I'd like to show it to you first, then I would like you all to do it with me, okay? All right, so what I do is when I go to eat food, my blessing is I call on the angels, the archangels, the ascended masters, and the higher beings, Father, Mother, God, to join me in my blessing. I send love to this food. And I feel the energies of my hand chakra sending energies and blessings to it. I send love from the heart. So I bless this food, I send love to it. I bless this food, I send love to it. I bless this food, I send love to it. I bless Gaia. I send love to Gaia. I bless Gaia. I send love to Gaia. I bless Gaia. I send love to Gaia. I bless all life on the planet. I send love to all life on the planet. I bless life on the planet. I bless all life on the planet. I send love to all life on the planet. I bless all life on the planet. I send love to all life on the planet. Will you do it with me, please? I bless this day. I send love to this day. I bless this day. I send love to this day. I bless this day. I send love to this day. I send love and blessings to our beloved Gaia. I send love and blessings to our beloved Gaia. I send love and blessings to our beloved Gaia. I send love to all life on the planet. I send blessings and love to all life on the planet. I send blessings and love to all life on the planet. Now I'd like you to open your eyes. Just be recipients. I call on higher beings to join me and to speak the words and accompany me in my actions. I send blessings and love to everyone here. In the presence of all these beings and all this love, I send love and blessings to everyone here. In the love of all these great beings, I send love and blessings to everyone here. And so it is.